This is called Mountain Star, and it's a story about a mountaineer that will teach you how to draw a star. And the illustrations are by Angélie Sawant, and photographs are from the Charlie Fowler collection. Find a path that touches your heart and follow that path to the end. And may the beautiful stars that grace the night sky always bring you safely home. Dedicated in loving memory to Charlie Fowler. This is the true and heartfelt story told through the eyes of a little girl who taught her friend to draw a perfectly balanced star while also telling the story of an adventurous climber. Read this tender story and learn how to draw your own perfect star. Before you start, you might want to get a piece of paper, a pencil, and a crayon. That way you're ready to practice drawing stars. Growing up, Lindsay always heard adventurous tales of her Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie was a climber who traveled the world, meeting new people and exploring mountains that most people never even dreamed of climbing. Through his travels, Uncle Charlie always enjoyed learning about new customs, new foods, hearing lively music, and seeing new mountains. Some of the mountains were snow-capped, and others were hot and rocky. But always the mountains were beautiful and called out to him to come climbing. When Uncle Charlie saw a photograph or heard about a mountain in a remote, faraway country, he would think, "Now that's a mountain I should climb." He would study and learn about the mountain, the weather, the people, the language, and then he would plan his trip. Once he had organized all of his climbing gear, food, and supplies, Uncle Charlie headed out with his friends. They would go for weeks and months at a time. Uncle Charlie would take lots of photographs. When he returned from a long trip, he would share his stories and pictures with anyone who would listen. As a little girl, Lindsay loved to hear his wonderful tales of travel and climbing. She looked wide-eyed at the photographs of people in distant and remote places and dreamed that someday she would travel to these same places and experience the things that Uncle Charlie saw on his trips around the world. Uncle Charlie's favorite place was on the other side of the world, the beautiful land of Tibet. It was one of his favorites because the people were kind, gentle, and welcomed him with food and drinks of yak butter tea. One night, Lindsay looked out her window and saw stars twinkling brightly against the dark sky. She knew in her heart that these were the same stars that her Uncle Charlie saw when he looked up at the sky. Lindsay thought of the stars, and she thought of her Uncle Charlie. It was amazing to think that all over the world, people looked up at many of the same stars in the night sky. A few days later, a friend asked Lindsay to teach her how to draw a star, and Lindsay knew right away how she would teach her friend. Lindsay said, "Before you start to draw a star, think of my Uncle Charlie." First, Uncle Charlie goes up the mountain. Then our Uncle Charlie comes down the mountain. Next, Uncle Charlie goes to this side of the mountain, and then Uncle Charlie goes to the other side of the mountain. And then Uncle Charlie comes home. There, right before their eyes, was a perfectly balanced star. Her friend could not believe it, and together she and Lindsay drew star after star after star. Some were big stars, and some were little stars. That's because sometimes Uncle Charlie climbed big mountains, and sometimes he climbed little mountains. Now it's your turn to try it with me. Uncle Charlie goes up the mountain, and then Uncle Charlie comes down the mountain. Then Uncle Charlie goes to this side of the mountain, then Uncle Charlie goes to that side of the mountain, and then Uncle Charlie comes home. Lindsay wants you to draw many perfect stars. Put them on your papers, hang them up in your room, and always think of her Uncle Charlie. The end.